I know that you're freeing up space to do something, even better, maybe even more aligned. Maybe, like in some ways, what you create next is a elevated version of what you had. But I do think it's important for people to know if you don't want the things and the people you like to go away, like take a moment to just acknowledge that contribution that they're making.
Hi, I'm Kim Tolson and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Managing a successful private practice can be challenging, even if you have all the skills and experience you need to support clients. Most training programs offer little to no guidance on running your own business. That's why Alma gives clinicians the tools they need to build a thriving private practice. When you join Alma, you can get credentialed with major insurance payers within 45 days, as well as guaranteed payment within 2 weeks of each session. You can also attract clients who are the right fit for your practice with a free profile in Alma's searchable directory. As you build your caseload, Alma also offers time-saving tools and administrative support, so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time delivering great care to your clients. Visit helloalma.com/Kim to download your free guide to identifying and connecting with clients who are the right fit for your practice. That's helloalma.com/KYM to get your guide.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. I'm super excited to have a recurring guest here with us, Katrina McGee. She's been on a couple times. I love her. She is like, what's your title now? Sabbatical life coach? Like, what is your exact title?
Yeah, I call myself a career break and sabbatical coach.
Career break and sabbatical coach. I remember the first time I met her in the first interview, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. She teaches people how to like quit their jobs really and take a break, an extended break if you want to do that, how to prepare for it, how to plan for it. But we've kind of become friends and we chit chat some, and she just had an amazing thing happen and we'll talk all about it. But I thought it would be great to bring on the podcast to talk about this multi-passionate entrepreneur thing, because I know a lot of us as traveling therapists, we're also multi-passionate entrepreneurs, but we also are looking for ways to get out of that one-to-one model with our clients so we can actually enjoy the places we're traveling to and not have to work 40 hours a week seeing our clients just on a screen when you're sitting in the Dominican Republic like I am right now. So Katrina, could you share with the audience what you recently did in your business? And then let's just dig into it, because I think it's going to inspire a lot of people to kind of follow the same path.
For sure. Yes. So exactly 1 month ago today, so today's the 1 month anniversary, I released a book, and it is, and it was a labor of love. It is a 368-page book that teaches people step by step how to take a break. And it was written with the publisher that puts out the For Dummies series. So my book is actually a For Dummies book. It's called Taking a Career Break for Dummies.
To me, first of all, I love the book. Amazing. Second, how cool is that to be affiliated with the Dummies series? I mean, that's like,
it's so amazing. Cool. I mean, I honestly didn't even know that was a thing that could happen for me. And I'll be super honest, I didn't even really understand how the Dummies series worked. I wasn't sure if they had like in-house authors that just wrote stuff, and so it was the Dummies brand, or if they actually collaborated with other authors to write each individual title. And so when they asked me to write the book, I first had to like Google it to figure out, like, am I going to get to have my name in this book, or is it just going to be for dummies? Because if I'm going to write it, I want my name on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And your story is really cool, right? So they just found you. They reached out to you, right? And it wasn't like you were trying to get a deal or anything like that. How did that process work?
Yeah, I had no book proposal. I had no vision for writing a book. It wasn't on my radar at that time. I received an email. It was like a cold outreach email from the acquisition editor, who ended up becoming my editor through the whole process. And she just she was like, hey, we're thinking about writing a title called Taking a Career Break for Dummies. We think you could be a great collaborator. Are you interested in collaborating with us on this title? And at first I thought it was a scam. I almost deleted the email because I was like, the For Dummies people are not just reaching out to randos, like asking them to write a book, especially if they aren't like a pre-published author. Yeah. But I Googled her and I Googled like the publishing name of the company that puts out the Dummies, because I didn't even know who did that. So it's Wiley and Sons. And I was like, oh my God, this is real. Kim, it's real. Oh my gosh, and it was exciting. Yeah. And so I said, yes, I'm interested. And we had a call and I asked a ton of questions and I liked most of her answers. And so we started moving forward in the process, but it was not on my radar at all. And as far as like how it happened, so I just did a Q&A with her yesterday for my launch team as a bonus. And it was so interesting to hear her tell the story. But essentially one of the key ingredients, so they had known that they wanted to write this topic and it had some energy to it because of the Great Resignation and what's happening in the workforce and then things they were seeing on Reddit and TikTok. And they just felt like this topic was gaining a lot of momentum. And so they went about trying to figure out who they could have write the book. And there were several people that she had, discovered in this space. So it wasn't just me. There were several people that she was looking at. And one of the sort of like tipping points for her was my website. And I have to say, I didn't know that until yesterday. And what was really interesting, we talk about planting seeds and like letting them go. And like, you water them and then you move on and you plant some more and you don't focus on like staring at the seed. Like, when are you going to grow? When are you going to grow? Yes. Nothing is working. That website was made. I made it the first time in 2017 and then I completely revamped it in 2020 and I did it by myself both times. I taught myself Squarespace. I cried a lot. I was like so angry. I played with the copy. I wasn't like, it was so painful to do it, but it just felt important. But my website never blew up. It never, it didn't bring in like 10,000 new leads in SEO every month. And so I never knew that my website was going to eventually be a key ingredient to bringing me a book deal. But I think it speaks to the idea of doing the best you can for each step that is in front of you or each task in front of you. And then like letting that go and just waiting to see what happens, down the road, like letting it be, like doing your best and then like letting that go, releasing it and moving on to the next step and focusing on that next step.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Because people will say to me all the time, like, oh, I'm posting on social media. I'm not getting any followers. This is awful. Or, I started a Facebook group, but just nobody's joining. What do I do? But this message is so powerful. It's like, just make your imprint, just put it out there, go on podcasts. Like I still get people joining Facebook groups that are like, oh, I heard you on a podcast from like 5 years ago. It's like, oh my God, that podcast is still getting traction. Like it's amazing, So I love that. Like everything you're doing right now is going to matter later. And especially this way. I mean, it's how cool is that? They like literally found your website that you cried over and then you got this book deal, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
So what's the process like? I just would love, because I mean, I would never think of myself as somebody that would write a book really, but I wonder, because you didn't either, like, how did you even like get into that mindset and really get going with it? I'm super curious about the process.
Yeah. So their process was super structured. Wow. So structured.
Okay.
Yeah. It was, I had a writing coach for the first chapter. We had to do the table of contents all completely. So like the whole table of contents was written before the book deal was signed because they needed to know, is it meaty enough? Does it have, enough information? Can we outline the whole book and fit the For Dummy structure? And then I had to write a sample chapter to sort of secure the deal. So we had a contract, I signed it, but it kind of hinged on that sample chapter, making sure I could write and can I take direction? And, is it like doable for me to make this work? And so it was really hard. That first sample chapter, I cried and I almost gave up. Yeah, no, but it was really hard. Like the first few stages, the table of contents wasn't so hard because I had in my mind what I wanted to say and getting it down wasn't was like complicated as I had feared it would be. But when it came to the sample chapter, it was, wow, that was really, really hard for me to tap into that. And so the process was, I just had to sit down and write bullet points. That became my workflow process because my brain is very logical and I didn't want to get lost in words. I can be very wordy. So to keep myself on track, I had to write down what is the one thing I want them to feel? What is the one thing I want them to know? And what is the thing that I want them to do for each like sub chapter I wrote? And then I had to put down the bullet points that supported me writing things to get that feeling, to have that action, right? And for them to know that thing. And so I just kept doing that over and over again for every chapter.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Yeah, I feel like the table of contents would be easy because you're such an expert on the topic anyway. You probably already have like a whole like workflow, like the process people go through, like contemplation, I would imagine, and then moving into action and all of that stuff. So I could see how that would be pretty easy. But then, yeah, having to be like a writer and actually transform that into like chapters, like, oh my gosh, I cannot even imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And talk about failures becoming wins. I had a book proposal I had written 5 years before through a company I'd hired to work with me, and nothing ever happened with it. They were like, no, this isn't going to, like, they helped me write it. And then they tried to pitch it. And they were like, yeah, no, there's no interest in this. And I just left it be. And then I also had a 6-month program that dripped 24 weeks of content, which a lot of that became the table of contents. And I had just shut it down a couple months before because I'd run it 3 times and it was so amazing. But on the 4th time, I didn't get enough people in it to feel that it was good enough to run it as a group program. And I was like, forget this. I'm done. This is too hard. So it was like those 2 huge failures created my table of contents and made that process so much easier.
Oh my God. Isn't that amazing? I just love those like hindsight is 2020 kind of stories.
Yeah.
At the time, it's like so discouraging.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, before we hit record on this episode, Katrina and I were talking about like, sometimes we as the entrepreneurs might not realize, even the impact of our work. And we might feel discouraged, like, oh, there's not enough members or something, to continue doing this. But then, you want to share what we were talking about? It's like, you think that, and then you get all this like reinforcement. I'd love if you share about that, what we were saying before.
Yeah, I'm going to share that with really fun short story. I was on a Tinder date. Okay. The story starts on a Tinder date. I was on maybe it was Hinge. I was on a dating app, and I went on a date while I was passing through Austin, Texas. And I met this guy who was super cool. He was a really smart guy, really fun to talk to. And we started talking about being an entrepreneur because I was and he wasn't. And he talked about this guy that he followed and had followed for like 3 years. And he dropped a quote that this person had shared and how interesting it was. And I asked him, have you ever replied to any of his emails to tell him that you follow him and have followed him and you really appreciate his content and that sometimes you even use it? And he was like, no, it's never even occurred to me to ever. He's like, I've never replied. He's like, why would I do that? And I was like, because when he's the one that's creating and you're getting all the value from it, right? And not like you owe him, but like when you're getting something good from it, he might be thinking, no one cares. No one's listening. No one cares. I'm not having an impact. And you just taking 2 minutes one time to tell him that it matters can be the thing that helps him keep going and really like puts good things out into the world. And if you ever want to be an entrepreneur, you definitely want to be putting good energy out so that you can receive it when it's your turn. And he sat with that and was really changed by it. And just on that one date, I was just passing through town as nomads sometimes do. Yes. And he will still text me sometimes to tell me that great job. And he was like, I'm so proud of the work you're doing. It's great. And he just really took that to heart. And he bought 5 copies of my book and just was like, I want to support you. Yeah, I want to support you. I'm giving them away, but I think it's great. And, I think a lot of times people don't know, but it's really lonely and hard to be an entrepreneur, especially when you're a solopreneur and you have a service where you're trying to help, impact people positively. And it can feel like no one cares. It can feel like you're not helping anyone. And so I just encourage people to like speak up and say thanks, or to say, hey, I loved this, or thank you for this piece. Like it changed, it changed the way I saw things, because it really matters. It really matters. And it can be the thing that keeps that person going to continue adding value for other people.
Building a private practice can be challenging. I know for me, when I was starting out, I had no idea how to get referrals. I had no idea how to manage paperwork. I knew nothing about insurance billing. The whole process was really daunting. Building a private practice can be challenging, to say the least. I remember when I was starting out, I had no idea how to get referrals. I had no idea how to navigate insurance. I had no idea even what paperwork was required. So growing a caseload, navigating insurance, and managing billing and paperwork all take significant amounts of time. time. And that's all in addition to delivering great care to your clients. That's why Alma gives clinicians the tools they need to build a thriving private practice. When you join their insurance program, you can get credentialed within 45 days and access to enhanced reimbursement rates. They also handle all the paperwork from eligibility checks to claim submissions, and they guarantee payment within 2 weeks of each appointment. So in addition to their insurance program, Alma also offers time-saving tools and administrative support, so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time delivering great care to your clients and traveling the world. Learn more about building a thriving private practice with Alma at helloalma.com/Kim. That's helloalma.com/KYM to get started.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. Because you see us on social media and we're like, oh, this is great. I'm traveling here, I'm traveling there. But there is like this dark side to it where it's like it's lonely. And, like you said, there's not a lot of like positive feedback. You get a lot of negatives, like you'll get emails.
Yeah, for sure.
Unsubscribe me from this email, you evil person, you sent too many, you do get that stuff. And, of course, my nature is to just focus on the negatives and all that stuff. And I was telling Katrina before I hit record that I actually made the huge decision to end the traveling therapist membership. And some of it had to do with this. And I'll have a whole other episode and kind of process it with the audience and all that stuff. But, as soon as I ended it, now I'm getting all these emails. People are like, wait, I didn't want to cancel. Why'd you cancel my membership and all of this? And it's like, gosh, maybe if I had maybe heard that before, I wouldn't have been so quick to end it, because I wasn't really feeling it anymore. I wasn't feeling like I was helping as many people as I wanted to with that model that I had going with the membership at the time. And I'm like, of course, I'm going to revamp and try to figure out another way to offer content to the audience. But it's the same thing. And that's what we were talking about before we hit record. It's like, it's so important to reach out to the people that inspire you and let them know, because it really does make a difference. They really do want to hear it. It really does. It might be the one thing that says, okay, keep going. Like after a bad launch or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, hear that. It's so inspirational. So thanks for sharing that part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I know that you're freeing up space to do something, even better, maybe even more aligned. Maybe, like in some ways, what you create next is a elevated version of what you had. But I do think it's important for people to know, if you don't want the things and the people you like to go away, like take a moment to just acknowledge that contribution that they're making, because a lot of us are here to make a difference. And if we feel like we aren't, it's like, why am I spending all this time, energy, right, and sacrifice if it's not even helping people? And I think it's important, if it is helping you, just to say, hey, this is helping me. It could be as simple as like, hey, this is helping me. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we never talk about that side of it, but it's hard. It's hard sometimes. So anyway, with all that being said, your book, it's a month today. And I guess you kind of been through that journey a little bit too. Like I put this thing out and now I don't know how people are receiving it. Like, I'm just wondering, like, what has that process been like for you? And how is the book going, the book launch and all of that? I'd love to just talk about it for people maybe that are thinking about putting a book out, or, are in the same place where it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm making a difference. Like, how's that been for you?
Well, it's been incredible from a feedback perspective. I have never felt so loved and appreciated in my whole life. The book was so hard to write. It was 100,000 words, over 500 writing hours, 9 months plus. And it was incredibly hard. Like there were times where I didn't think I could finish. And I will say, honestly, the very best part so far of this book journey has been putting it out and seeing the number of people who have bought the book, written kind things about the book, sent me messages of encouragement. I mean, it's truly like the most appreciated and loved and valued I've ever felt. And former clients supporting me and cheering me on and agreeing to be in the book as anecdotes and case studies, leaving reviews, my launch team that supported me, all of the people that buy the book, even people that I'm just peers with or that don't know me that well, being like, I love what you're doing and the world needs this. I bought a copy, I bought 2 copies and I'm giving one away. And just, my friend threw me a book party and that was incredible. And people came even though they have kids and it was on a weeknight. And I just have really sat in this very full circle moment of appreciating the journey and feeling like, wow, I really did something. And this book feels like the sort of like physical manifestation of 6 years of work behind the scenes. And it's been incredible. And so, putting what you know down into something, right, like this, that's going to live on forever
Yeah.
it's just incredible. Like, I would encourage people to do it if that feels like something they're feeling called to do. I feel like this book will be here when I'm not. This book will be here if I decide to do something different tomorrow. But the very best of what I've learned in 6 years is in this book. The book journey itself, I've had some really great wins that have been unexpected, like being mentioned in Forbes in their
Oh
weekly
my gosh.
careers newsletter. Like, yeah,
Oh,
the writer recommended it. Was one of two resources she recommended. The other video was like the CTO of Amazon or something, like a
oh
video
my
that they
gosh.
had done. I know. And then it's like my
That is
book.
so
And I'm like, holy
awesome.
crap. I know. I was like, holy crap, is this real? I hit the Dummies bestseller list, like their internal list of Dummies books that are bestsellers. I've hit number one in several Amazon categories on top
Oh,
of, feeling supported. And so it's done some really amazing things. I'm excited to see what it will continue to do. But there's been so much excitement. And I think my book is really accessible and it was very thoughtful. And I think one of the things, so this is great for anyone, if you want to write a book and you're listening to this,
yeah.
taking people on the journey really is an ingredient of success in today's world. It might not have been like 10 years ago, but in today's world, getting people excited about it and letting them feel like they're a part of the journey, it's so much better than just surprise launching a book. I started sharing from when I got my deal and when I, started writing, and then the process of that, writing retreat stuff, snippets along the way, just snippets. And I feel
Yeah.
like people got really excited. So when the book was out, they were really invested and they felt like it was their book too, in a way. And I think it just really helped the book have a better entry into the world.
Oh my gosh. I love that message so much. And, I even struggle with that on social media myself because I know that you're right. Like, to build an audience, nurture an audience, have products that people love and that you can put all of your heart into. It is important to take them on the journey. And I just love that. Just sharing little bits and pieces
Yeah.
of like, today's not a great day or today is a great day. I finally finished this chapter, or, just
Yeah.
keep people informed of what's going on is super inspirational too for people that,
It's hard though. It's
yeah,
hard
is
though.
it? Mhm.
Yeah, it's not easy because you're in it and all you want to do is get through it. The last thing you want to do is think about, how do I share this? But I
Yeah.
feel like, to your point, when it was a really good day or a really bad day, I was like, okay, take a photo and then
Yeah.
just tell a story, and don't make it perfect, right? Just be like, oh my gosh, I just submitted, my fifth chapter. I hit my 25% mark. Or, oh my gosh, I tore my calf muscle and now
Oh my
I'm
God.
immobilized. I can't walk, I can't drive, and I'm stressed about my book, right? Like, all of it's real. I did a lot of sharing with my newsletter too. They were probably the most in touch. I would send them every 2 weeks on average. I would send them an email and let them know what was going on. And I think that was really helpful too. But yeah, I mean, I didn't do a perfect job. I could have shared so much more, and I didn't try to make it glamorous. I could have made it look glamorous. I'm writing for a traditional
Sure.
publisher, a life, a day in the life of an author. But that just took too much work. I just needed all my energy to go to the book.
Yeah. And it's so much better to be authentic. I mean, especially with something like what you're teaching, like how to take a career break. I mean, you need somebody that is authentic and gets that, life is complicated and hard. And, I think when you take people on that journey with you, it helps them see like, this is somebody I actually can relate to and work with. And I want to read this content because you are being authentic and genuine and not trying to make it look perfect. So I was
Yes,
just
I
saying,
heard you. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I was just saying, yeah. So I
I
just
think
love that in
authenticity
authentic.
is big. I think,
Mhm. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just agreeing with you. I think authenticity is huge. And I think, especially in that first wave of the book, when people are rallying around to support you, it's you just being authentically you. Now, obviously, I want strangers to buy my book that are buying it for the merit of the topic itself. But in that first sort of wave of launching, to get that support and that swell and to give your book momentum, I think it's important to have the people around you want to be a part of it. And definitely, like, just being authentic is important. And to your point, it's connected to the book, right? Like, my book is going on a journey that is authentic to you and not trying to follow the like prescriptive ways to success or feel like you have to grind it out on the hamster wheel forever. So I think there's a lot of alignment in that as well.
Hmm. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. It's so inspirational. And, I just love the message that you could just be doing your thing, putting stuff out there, trying to help the world. And then all of a sudden, this huge like thing just comes along. It's like, hey, you want to write for the Dummies team? Wouldn't that be great? It's like, yes. Thank you. That's just it's a really cool story. It's super inspirational. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you so much. I definitely, it's a reminder. It's a great reminder. I think we know bad things can happen very spontaneously. Tomorrow, everything, a phone call can change our whole lives. And I think it's really nice to remember that the same is true of really good things, right? Like it doesn't, sometimes in an instant, a phone call can change your life for the better, you know?
Yeah. Amazing. I love it. So if people want to read your book, what is the full title? Where can they find it? Where can they find you? Let's talk about all that in case, and if they want to take a career break, they can reach out to you and you can help them with that process also.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, the book is out now and it's awesome. If you order it through the website, which is thecareerbreakbook.com, you'll also get 2 exciting bonuses. So if you want to take a break, you'll get access to the break blueprint, which is a really condensed 1-page roadmap that you'll learn, in conjunction with the book. It'll help you map out the structure of your break, which is all you really need to create and guarantee success. And then also I'm going to be putting up a replay of my Q&A with my acquisition editor. So if you want to see the behind the scenes on the book and know what it's like, she talks about what makes a good pitch, what makes a bad pitch. She talks about, her journey as an acquisition editor and being part on the publisher side. So it's really informative. So that will also be there. So if you order it through thecareerbreakbook.com, you'll get access to those bonuses, but you can also find it on Amazon with every other book in the world, pretty much. So it's also there. But yeah, it's really great, and I think if you're listening to this and you're imagining that you can't take a full-on 6-month break, it's a great book to structure even an abbreviated break, so a mini break of sorts or a mini sabbatical. And it starts in the very first chapter with like understanding what a break is and then deciding if a break is right for you. So it doesn't assume that you're doing it and you know exactly what you want. It kind of walks you step by step through the whole entire process, including how to return from a break and find success, create opportunities as you rejoin the workforce, and take the benefits of your break with you into your next chapter.
Oh, I love that so much. Yes, I love it. I love it. I'm sure it's a totally like personalized experience. And then, yeah, we've talked about this before, but just being able to like take a break and actually disconnect from everything, it does open you up to like new self-discovery about yourself. And then I love that part about being able to incorporate it back into your life, like go back into your life without being a workaholic or, try to
Absolutely.
put the devices down at 8 p.m., or whatever, all of taking those things and incorporating them back into your life. That's such an important part of it too. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I'm so, it ends with like my favorite ending. I was like, how do you end a book like this? And it talks about the fact that you probably are going to want to take more breaks. So it's like it's like, and by the way, you'll realize this isn't a once in a lifetime experience. You now have created a new lifestyle and you probably are going to want another break.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how can we just always be on a break and just work a little bit? That's my
question. I know. Right. Let's integrate those breaks.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast again. I love having you as a guest, and all of her information will be down in the show notes so you guys can follow up if you want to work with her and also grab her book. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for having me, Kim. I always love being on your show. I love what you're doing, and your energy is always so good. So this was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you loved this episode, please leave a review.